Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit the red subscribe button. And do me a favor, share that link below, youtube.com/BearsNow with a Bears friend of yours. Let's get into today's mailbag. Appreciate everybody submitting questions using hashtag Bears, starting with Ron. Sign Warford, for God's sake. The Bears have a chance to plug a giant hole. I can't believe they're going to pass on a guard who can end the debate on the strength of the O-line. Hashtag Bears. Well, I do agree that Larry Warford would definitely fill that hole at right guard. Now, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and say, oh, signing Warford just solves all your problems. The tackles still weren't very good last year. It's not like this offensive line becomes elite with Larry Warford, but I agree the Bears should absolutely do whatever they can to sign him. The latest report is he wants around $7 million per year. That's above average money for a guard, but that's not a ton of money either. Like, he is a 3-time Pro Bowler. I had somebody on one of our recent videos in the comments say, oh, but he was a Pro Bowl replacement. Okay, so you'd rather roll with Rashad Coward at right guard? Like, sure, maybe Larry Warford isn't an all-pro. There's a difference between Pro Bowl and all-pro, but I know he's much better than any other option the Bears have at right guard. Maybe Jermaine Ifedi is the answer, though, but I'd rather take my chances with Larry Warford. That's just me. Like, we saw this offensive line last year. It wasn't good. If you have a chance to get a 3-time Pro Bowler at a decent price tag, I absolutely think you should try and do that if you are the Chicago Bears. What do you think? Should the Bears sign Larry Warford? Type Y for yes, type N for no. We got a lot of offensive line questions about Warford, so I answered this one. I think the answer is absolutely yes, unless the price tag is outrageous. But if it's in that $7 million range, just get this done. Go ahead and sign him. Glory Boy 18 wants to know, where do you think the Bears placing in the NFC North? Where do you think they'll end up in the NFC North? I tell you what, Glory Boy, I did a video about the entire Bears schedule, which I'll show you in a sec, but last year, 8-8 overall. I think they're better. I think the Vikings got worse. I don't think the Packers improved a ton, so I do think the Bears will improve. I'll tell you this. I went through on our last video, I went through all 16 games and predicted winning or losing all of them and ended up with a final record. I'll give you a little tease. They ended up with more than 8 wins in my early predictions. Encourage you guys to check it out on the channel. Like I said, youtube.com/BearsNow. But you're already watching the video, so just go to recent videos. It's going to be the most recent one after this one. So I encourage you guys to subscribe. I encourage you guys to check out that video because we're putting up videos almost every single day here on the channel. And we got to reach 10,000 subs ASAP. We're growing very quickly. Talked to the boss and they said, hey, we got to get to 10K as soon as possible. We're just over 2,000 away. We've been growing like crazy. Launched early January. We're almost at 8,000. Let's get to 10K as soon as possible. Share that link below. Go ahead, hit the red subscribe button. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Let's go to Cam IGL, loyal watcher here on Bears Now. What quarterbacks could we get next offseason? Considering our quarterback situation, there are multiple QBs set to be free agents. The free agent market next year isn't great. So these are kind of my top 5. And Dak is pretty loose because the only reason technically he's a free agent next year is because the Cowboys haven't signed him long-term. I would be surprised if he plays under the tag this year and doesn't sign a long-term deal. So he's probably not going to be available. Phillip Rivers is on that 1-year deal in Indy. He's pushing 40. I don't know if he's the answer. Andy Dalton, who's backing up Dak this year, could he be an option? Jameis Winston, Brissett. You look at these names, looks familiar to what was available this year, right? Like, they could have gotten Dalton. They could have gotten Rivers. They could have gotten Jameis Winston. But they decided to trade for Nick Foles instead. So why would they all of a sudden say, okay, Nick Foles isn't the guy, but one of the guys we could have gotten last year is? I just don't really see that being an option for the Bears. This is more likely. If Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles don't play well this year, I think drafting a quarterback in the first round seems like a very high possibility. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, they're going to be top 5 picks. The Bears would really have to bottom out to get one of those two guys in the draft next year. Trey Lance, remember the name? North Dakota State. He's going to be rising up draft boards. I think he ends up being a first-round guy probably. Brock Purdy, Tanner Morgan, probably day 2 draft picks, but if they have big seasons, they could sneak into the first round as well. There are some decent options, especially Lawrence and Fields, obviously. I don't think the Bears will be so bad that they would get one of those guys, but obviously if they bottom out, they will draft one of the top quarterbacks in 2021. Who will be the Bears quarterback in 2021? Go ahead and predict. Let me know down in the comments section. I got no clue. I'm hoping it's Foles or Trubisky because that means that one of them played really well this year. That's the ideal scenario, that one of these guys takes this job and runs with it for the foreseeable future. Will that happen? I'm not convinced. We'll have to just wait and see. All right, guys, we got Bears jerseys available for you guys. I know Cole Kmet not wearing number 0. They will send you the proper jersey as soon as the Bears confirm with Fanatics that he is wearing number, I believe, 85. You might be able to go ahead and order it right now. You can pre-order it for sure. They will send that your way as soon as they get them in stock. You can go ahead and get Khalil Mack jerseys, Eddie Jackson. We got Trubisky. We got Khalil Mack. Got all kinds of jerseys. David Montgomery. Chatsports.com/Bears1 is the link. You go to that link. All these jerseys are available. A lot of them are on sale, too. So go ahead and take advantage at chatsports.com/Bears1. I'll place that link in the comments and in the description. All right, Travis S. asks, what if we cut Trubisky and sign Cam Newton to a 1-year make-it-or-break-it deal? Could Foles be the backup quarterback? He could, but they're not going to go that route. They're not going to trade for Foles and then go sign Cam Newton. By the way, I'll just get this out of the way off the top. Cutting Trubisky saves zero money. Like, his 9.3 million cap hit or whatever, that's there if you keep or cut him. You could trade him to clear some cap, but that is not very likely if you are the Chicago Bears. Here's the bottom line with Cam Newton, and the reason the Bears and every other team hasn't signed him. Teams are reluctant because they don't know his medical situation. That's the bottom line. The Big C has made it impossible for teams to do a proper medical evaluation. I don't see Cam being a starter in 2020. That's the bottom line. Maybe they could revisit in 2021 when things clear up a bit here, but he's already coming off a year where he missed 14 to 16 games. He hasn't played that well in recent years. I'm not going to sit here and say I think Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles are better quarterbacks than Cam Newton when he's healthy, but I don't know that he's healthy. I'm not convinced, and clearly NFL teams aren't as well. We need to accept the reality that this is what it is for this year. It's Nick Foles and it's Mitch Trubisky. That's what it is. They're going to compete. They're going to battle. I would guess both these guys start games at some point this season because neither have been, great as permanent starting quarterbacks. Hopefully one of them takes the job and runs with it and the Bears play well, but Cam Newton is not going to be on this team this year. I mean, we can keep talking about it if you guys want to ask. It's just not going to happen, though. It would take something monumental, like a training camp blown-out knee from one of these quarterbacks to bring in Cam Newton. I just don't see it. Sports Highlight Kingdom asks, can the Bears sign Antonio Brown and cut or trade at least 2 of their tight ends since they have 10 or 11 on the roster? They have a bunch. Let's get the tight end part out of the way first before we talk about Antonio Brown. Here's the deal with the tight ends, guy, and just rosters in general. Rosters are inflated right now. A bunch of teams have a bunch of players at a lot of different positions. The Bears will carry 3 or 4. I think these 3 are locks to make the roster. Graham and Kmet definitely are. And I think Demetrius Harris will be your 3rd tight end. Maybe Shaheen makes the roster. Maybe J.P. Holtz is your 4th guy. We'll see what direction they go in there. And then they'll cut the rest. Like when you have to cut it down to the 55-man roster, they will cut it several tight ends. These guys will not be in the fold in 2020. So focus on Kmet and Graham. We'll see what Harris brings to the table. So that's my thought on the tight ends. Now, when it goes to Antonio Brown, here's the problem. He's got some issues. Like, it's been a tumultuous year for this guy. There's a reason the Raiders cut him. There's a reason even the Patriots said, we can't make it work with you in our program. I'm not convinced the team will sign him. It seems like he's trying to, express some remorse over the past couple of months, but you got to keep this in mind as well. If a team signs him, he could face a suspension. He's got a sexual assault allegation that's ongoing right now, and there's a report from back in December that if a team signs him, he could face up to a 6-game suspension, if not more. Now, that hasn't come down yet because he hasn't been signed, so we don't know for sure. Maybe you sign him and he gets cleared of all that, but it's a risk. He comes with major red flags, off-the-field concerns, locker room chemistry concerns. I love the player. He was the best wide receiver in the NFL, in my opinion, for about 3 to 5 years. He was excellent and has a Hall of Fame resume, but I just do not think that the Chicago Bears, or quite frankly, any team is going to bring him in right now unless the sexual assault allegation clears up and he expresses, legitimate, remorse for how he's acted the past year, not just with the assault allegation, but just in general with the Raiders and the Patriots. But vote honestly. Do you want Antonio Brown on the Bears? Do you? go ahead, let me know down in the comments section if you want AB on the Bears. I got to say no with everything I know right now. We'll see if something comes out publicly that would change my mind, but as of now, I can't sign AB. All right, Jesse B asks, out of all the late-round draft picks, who will have the best career in Chicago? Personally, I'm hoping Mooney becomes our Tyreek Hill. They were only drafted a few spots separating the two. Okay, we'll get into Mooney a little bit more in a second. Let's go ahead and show you the day 3 draft picks. I think a couple of these guys have a chance to stick and be pretty good players. I think Travis Gibson's a solid player. I don't know how much run he'll get this year because Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn are going to take the majority of snaps at the edge spot. Kendall Vilder has a chance to turn into a nickelback, in my opinion. I like Darnell Mooney a lot. I really do. Comparing him to Tyreek Hill, though, and Hambright and Simmons, hopefully one of those guys makes the roster as a rotation offensive lineman. But looking at Darnell Mooney specifically, you gotta hold your expectations in check. Like, you can't compare him to Tyreek Hill because, they were drafted a couple of spots apart. Like, that's not reality. Like, you know why Tyreek Hill fell a bunch? Because he had off-the-field concerns in college and got kicked out of Oklahoma State and had to transfer to West Alabama. That's why he fell to the 5th round. Darnell Mooney's good, and he's probably my favorite day 3 draft pick. I agree with you there. I think he has a chance to have an impact. Go ahead and let me know who your favorite day 3 draft pick. I'm rolling with Mooney, but comparing him to Tyreek Hill, it's unrealistic expectations. Sure, they have similar attributes. They're both fast, but Mooney's got a lot to prove before we can just throw out the idea that he could play a Tyreek Hill role on the Chicago Bears football team. I think he'll get some snaps. I think he's got a chance to compete for that wide receiver 3 spot. We'll see how they use Cordell Patterson this year. Obviously, Wims and Ridley are going to compete to start as well, and Mooney will also. I like him. I'm not disputing the fact that I think he's a talented player and was a bit of a steal in round 5. But let's not compare him to Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is one of the best receivers in the NFL. That's the bottom line. Darnell Mooney hasn't played a single NFL snap, so we'll see what he can bring. I liked him coming out of Tulane. Productive player, played a lot over 4 years there. Down at Tulane, especially his 2018 season stands out to me. Average over 20 yards a catch. That's really impressive. But let's pump the brakes on the Tyreek Hill comparisons. Again, Hill fell because he had red flags and off-the-field character issues. So that's why he fell to the 5th round. I hope Mooney becomes a good player, but I don't know if my expectations are quite that high.